There's this old nursery rhyme, I'm sure everybody's heard it before, titled Humpty Dumpty. I like to equate our current state of the economy to Humpty Dumpty himself. Yes, it is sitting on a great wall, and that great wall is made up of all the various things that keep us from collapsing under the weight of our tremendous $31 trillion national debt. Of particular interest, of course, is our reliance on having the petrodollar. If that status ever changes, if our status as having the dollar as the world reserve currency ever changes, there's nothing that will hold back the collapse that will come. Now, I'm going to be reading from an article by Michael Snyder, and I know I get a lot of comments. Anytime we post articles by Michael Snyder, I hear about how he's a Chicken Little and how he's been saying there's going to be an economic collapse for so long. But here's the thing. Maybe in the past I wouldn't have listened to him, but today I am. I'm listening to him very, very closely because he does his research. He knows what he's talking about, and he finds the stories and kind of puts them together in ways that you don't find very often in journalists. Like he sees the big picture and he says, okay, so that's relevant. This is relevant. This is relevant. This is relevant. He puts it together into a concise article every day, usually, at least once a day, and they make sense. And unfortunately, yeah, they're scary, but there's a difference between fear mongering for the sake of trying to get people's attention and fear mongering for the sake of telling lies. Michael Snyder is not trying to tell lies. He's trying to get people's attention. So you guys and all of us, not just you guys, everybody needs to listen. So according to this article, it's titled, "We Are Witnessing an Enormous Wave of Bankruptcies and Layoffs During the Early Stages of 2023. And you can find this over at theeconomiccollapseblog.com. Of course, I'll be posting it over at discernreport.com, americafirstreport.com, and various places. For the article, is your job safe? Right now, we are witnessing so much turmoil in so many different sectors of our economy. The housing market is crashing. The cryptocurrency industry has imploded. The tech industry is laying off workers at an extremely frightening pace, and some of our most important retailers are heading into bankruptcy. The information that I'm about to share with you is deeply troubling. It has become exceedingly clear that our economy is in huge trouble, and I fully expect that our problems will accelerate even more as the year rolls along." See, I told you. Doom and gloom, right? Except, like I said, he makes sense. Back to the article. Let me start by pointing out that what is currently happening at Microsoft. It is one of the wealthiest companies in the entire world, but due to a shift in, quote, macroeconomic conditions, executives have decided it has become necessary to lay off 10,000 workers. If even Microsoft is laying off thousands of workers, is any job in the private sector truly safe? Meanwhile, some of the biggest names in the retail industry are plunging into bankruptcy now that the holiday season is over. On Tuesday, it was Party City's turn. Even more alarming is the fact that it is being reported that bankruptcy filing for Bed Bath & Beyond has become likely. They shouldn't have dropped. They shouldn't have dropped MyPillow. That was their death now. They screwed up there big time, huge. Back to the article. So many brick and mortar retailers are really struggling right now, and many of them are blaming competition for internet retailers such as Amazon, or from internet retailers such as Amazon. But if Amazon is doing so well, why did they start laying off approximately 18,000 workers on Wednesday? The wave of layoffs that we have been witnessing in the tech industry is truly unprecedented. Previous to this week, more than 25,000 tech industry workers had already been laid off this year. And guys, keep in mind, it's what the third week? Okay, we're going into the fourth week of the year, and 25,000 have already been laid off. Not good, but at least the tech industry is in far better shape than the cryptocurrency industry is. Let me share 4 major announcements that all happened within the last 10 days. Now, before I get to those, I want to be clear. I am still, I don't want to say bullish because it's not really the right word. I haven't given up on crypto, okay? I think that there is a future, but here's the key. Crypto is going to be the basis through which they're going to try to push the digital dollar upon us. They're going to use blockchain. They're going to use all these various technologies that were developed for the sake of cryptocurrency and use that to, it's almost as if that was the appetizer. That's, hey, you guys get to try your food now. We're going to shove this entree onto you, which is digital dollars and various central bank digital currencies. And now these are going to be the new normal. And it's just the same as cryptocurrency, which you guys have already been using, except it's not. Of course, it's not even close. It's almost the exact opposite. Yes, it's based upon similar technology, or will be, But here's the big difference. The whole idea of cryptocurrency is for decentralization. And of course, a central bank digital currency is going to be the exact opposite. It's going to be centralized. It's going to be controlled not just by our government, not just by the central banks, but by the various public-private partnerships that are forming in the economic sector as we speak. These partnerships are forming behind closed doors. You get to hear about their partnerships after it's already done. This is why they're testing. There's 12 major companies testing the digital dollar right now. We're in the midst of it. Actually, they're coming to the conclusion, I believe, of their initial test, which started at the end of last year. That should concern you. So let's get back to cryptocurrency and Michael Snyder's article. Here's, again, these are 4 major announcements just in the last 10 days. I'm going to buzz right through these. Number 1, it is being reported that Genesis Global Capital is laying the groundwork for a bankruptcy filing. Now, those who've watched my show before, you know that I work with GenesisPreciousMetals.com. That is not Genesis Global Capital. Genesis Global Capital is failing miserably because they're in this whole cryptocurrency realm at the wrong time. Wrong place, wrong time to be doing crypto. Whereas Genesis Precious Metals is obviously soaring because they're in gold and silver, but I digress. Number 2, Crypto.com announced that it will be laying off 20% of its workforce, 1/5 of its workforce. Speaking of 1/5, so is Coinbase. They're going to be cutting about 1/5 of its workforce. And then number 4, the founder and cryptocurrency exchange Blitz Lotto has actually been arrested. Apparently, he was laundering money on a scale of epic proportions, and that doesn't even mention anything about FTX or Sam Bankman-Fried or any of that stuff. This is all just in the last 10 days. Cryptocurrency industry is in a state of flux that's very reminiscent to the dot-com boom, and of course, we all know what happened to it in the late 90s, early 2000s, when everybody was excited, everybody thought this was the future, and it really was, but they miscalculated dramatically on what to put their money behind. And as a result, many rich people became unrich very quickly. Back to the article. The cryptocurrency industry will never look the same again after all of this turmoil. On top of everything else, the Saudis appear to be poised. Now pay attention. On top of everything else, the Saudis appear to be poised to make a major move that could literally change everything. At the yearly gathering of the World Economic Forum in Davos, the Saudi finance minister decided to drop a bombshell. And this is a quote from Bloomberg, another globalist, but hey. According to Bloomberg, Saudi Arabia is open to discussions about trade in currencies other than the US dollar, according to the kingdom's finance minister. Remember what I said about one of the biggest bricks in the wall that Humpty Dumpty, our economy, is currently sitting on, is that petrodollar brick. If that brick were to be eliminated, we will crash. The United States of, and I'm not just talking about our economy, I'm saying the United States of America will crash. The only reason that we have been able to sustain for so long, when we had a $10 trillion debt, $20 trillion debt, $30 trillion debt, the only thing that keeps us alive is the fact that because everybody else is tied to us through the petrodollar, through the fact that the dollar is the world reserve currency, that makes it to where if we fall, everybody else falls. Okay? When you have people in countries like Saudi Arabia, which is the cornerstone of our petrodollar dominance, when they start looking at alternatives, that bodes very, very, very ill. Let me finish the article, and then we'll talk about it a bit. Needless to say, this could potentially completely undermine the dominance of the petrodollar. Of course, we cannot afford to have that happen because the dominance of the dollar is one of the only things that's keeping our system afloat. At this point, just about everything is moving in the wrong direction for the U.S. economy, but most people still do not understand the bigger picture. A lot of the experts assume that we will just suffer through a temporary recession, and then things will eventually return to normal. I wish that was true. Unfortunately, our entire system is starting to crack and crumble all around us, and those that are currently running things are not going to be able to put it back together again. He didn't even make the Humpty Dumpty reference that I made. How is that? It's perfect. You couldn't have planned it out better yourself. So this is where I'm supposed to say, do whatever you can to prepare yourself financially. But I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say this. Number one, when you're listening to the experts, a lot of the experts, and I just heard this earlier today, heard one expert saying, who was he with? Bank of America saying it was going to be a mild recession. Okay. They are going back and forth, right? You got Wells Fargo saying one thing. You've got JP Morgan Chase saying another thing. You've got the central banker saying something. You got the Fed saying something. They're all throwing out, hey, it's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad. Okay. And that's common, of course, because, opinions about the economy can vary. But here's the thing. They're trying to keep us in a perpetual state of concern without panic. They don't want us panicking. They don't want us going out and having bank runs. They don't want us doing anything that might rock the economy even more. But they also don't want to keep us thinking, oh, everything's going to be fine, because they don't want it to be fine. If we start thinking that everything's going to be fine, and truly in wholesale start thinking that, then the way that the economy works, it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. They are pushing for these central bank digital currencies, and the way they do it is by keeping us terrified, but not terrified enough to go do something rash, to do something that's going to actually crash the economy prematurely. They're not trying to stop the economy from crashing. They just want it done at the proper moment. This is why every single central bank in the world today is stocking up on two things: gold and silver. That's it. Okay. They're backing out of crypto. They're backing out of real estate, believe it or not. That was a shocker, because I actually predicted last year that they were going to accelerate real estate. I was wrong. But they are all buying up as much gold and silver as possible. And the Chinese Communist Party, China, has recently made their largest quarterly purchase of gold that they've ever made. Ever. What does it tell you? It tells me, at the very least, that we should be putting as much of our own assets as possible into gold and silver, precious metals. And folks, I'm about to talk about a sponsor, but if I didn't have a gold or silver sponsor, I would be saying the exact same thing right now. The writing is on the wall. You're either going to see it or you're not. You're either going to read it or you're not. You're either going to heed the advice or you're not. And to me, to a whole lot of people, I can assure you, whether you have a 401k, an old one, an IRA, any of the various types of IRAs, if you have a savings account, all of these are vulnerable. And I would strongly encourage you to, number one, get physical precious metals. Okay. Get physical precious metals, have them sent to your house. Okay. Put them in your safe. Go get a safe. I just bought a safe, my first safe in my entire life. We just got one. Okay. Not that I have a lot of gold or silver, but we will. We're working towards it, because I am concerned. I am personally concerned. If you have those retirement accounts, savings accounts, whatever, consider, talk to some experts and consider moving it to a self-directed IRA where you will have access to that. If you need to withdraw, funds, you need some of your gold or silver physically shipped to your house out of your IRA account, you will be able to do that through a self-directed IRA. And the people that you can talk to for this, you can find them at jdrucker.com/IRA. I found a small, a mid-sized, and a large company. These are America First companies. You need to talk to one, two, or all three of them. I don't care. But talk to somebody about this today, because it is getting crazy. jdrucker.com/IRA.